on the 14th bilunar perigee of the second dim season's equinox. The orphaner poses a caliginous riddle like no other I've met. I'm presuming him bothered by jealousy, and it would be sickening if it were not so marvelously amusing. But then, who but royalty would have the thin cheek to show disdain for the manner in which his black lover conducts her red conquests? Less have accelerated meeker than I to homicide, and the violation would hold me aghast, again, if his misgivings did not complement his so endearing arsenal of quaint flaws. It is impossible to stifle this grin, even now as I write. He surely understands this as my maritime overlord, a superior, while though gritting fangs he would concede the expense of my plunder makes him seem hardly worthwhile to trouble a map with good ink over. I know he understands. I will take what I want. I expect nothing less from Dulscar, and truly, less would offend me. Is it the crude blood of the suitors from which I have taken enjoyment recently? If his displeasure is with my blithe treatment of the social order, then he has either not spent enough time in my warm company of my indifference, or is simply very stupid. I saw the look he gave. He's so secure in knowing I can't feel what's in his mind, he forgets the traitorous ways of his own face. His little looks are words to me, interjections in our deliciously bitter repartee. First, a look as I summon a slave from the hold, with such ease between my remarks. Why, yes, Dulscar. They were the very slaves in your hold until but this hour. Another ship deployed carelessly, languishing in strategic vulnerability. Is this not our routine? Our dance? What is this look, my dear Kismesis? Is it shame? Envy? Contempt for what he knows will follow? I nod her over. She is fearful, and it makes her prettier. He scoffs without movement or sound. I know there is disgust feeding the shadows in his corner of my block. At least prick her finger in the light, he surely thinks. Determine what vulgar hue she bleeds before persisting with your abasement, Marquis. Do not try to understand, orphaner. Not knowing is the point. And if you truly understood this, your crusade against the Gamblenots would not be among our Grand High Blood's most uproarious punchlines. If only one needed to be so high to find it amusing. And so, not knowing, I take her will, but leave enough of it to enjoy her response. Her hands are in my service, but they still shake. They unfasten the first button at my jacket's waist clumsily. I have masked the line between my puppeteering and her volition exquisitely, and her uncertainty over her own control fuels her fear. She unfastens the second button, and between the second and the third, I make a casual remark to Dulscar, continuing our conversation. He does not respond. I look again at the face of my slave, imagining for a moment her mind is not an unguarded port to her every dread. I imagine I cannot feel her conviction that it's not merely a matter of whether she will be put to the irons, but how hot they will be if she fails to please. Poor thing. Her horns make attractive shapes and pair themselves pleasantly amidst her violent snarls of hair. Her fingers, which I have lost track of, to my surprise have come between the petticoat and my skin. The heat of her touch tells me the likely range for the color of her blood. I wouldn't have guessed it to look at her, not with her sign stripped. Her mouth opens slightly, and I squint. Ah, razor sharp, and none missing. Perfect. How disappointing it is to find quivering lips hiding dull teeth. I pause to consider. What will her fear become if I choose to show her mercy later? And even in days. Kindness. Will this be the red dalliance that becomes fully flushed? Love demands my cunning just as my raids. If it is to be, she will never understand how thoroughly she was manipulated. Her body, her mind, her devotion. I remember Dulscar again. My distraction from our banter was momentarily absolute, and I inquire into the shadows. But he is gone. Then go, my Kismesis. Fume with the indignation I gave you. I only pray it blackens our bond. I must know such exhibitions agitate him, and hence why I bother. Obviously, it would be easy to dismiss him before I partook. Let it be a gift of antagonization to you, my dear rival, on which you may brew pitch for me anew. And if it is true envy, a vermilion yearning I can't abide, and though it pains me, it will be farewell. Alas, it may be that I am too good at spurring hate. Too good, at least, for him. I only hope he is not so foolish as to tread a path of less torrid malice. For if he does... On the 16th, my suspicions have been confirmed. I'm not grinning any more, Dual Scar. Our orderly contention has dissolved right before my vision eightfold. It was once a handsome black, but now sits like good, strong tea, sullied and uncooled by unwelcome dairy. Thus, my heart was broken twice. I was fond of the slave. There was surely promise in her red investment. He had her assassinated. And so I am visited by a bit of bad luck for a change. It's not possible to evade it forever, I suppose. I will simply have to endure the misfortune of observing his base and artless measures of retaliation. He's applied his own resources to increase the bounty on my head. I wonder if he intends such a laughably ineffectual gesture as anything more than a formality, a symbol of his intent. If not, my smile. How it threatens to revisit. Almost. I've broken laws, yes. But what has there been to pay for? If any act I've taken should demand a bounty, it was paid up front. I foot the bill myself with guile and supremacy. On the 20th, if only my hoard were as bottomless as his desire to disappoint me. He is set on cowardice, deferring to others to settle his score. Doesn't he remember what he confided? It would be easy to give the evidence to her imperious condescension, and he would be killed quickly for his unthinkable presumption. He's taken a great risk harboring red ambitions for an empress who will never even know his name. Not that I'll sink to his tactics. But then, he feels safety in knowing this. My sources say he is en route. On the 21st, I've learned Dulscar has reported to the Grand High Blood all the intelligence he has on me and my fleet. It was information he'd guarded closely to protect our once mutually cherished rivalry. He couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands, lest another besiege me more effectively and cause me to wax for the usurper. Not that he raised that Masq particularly high himself. The shortcomings I managed to overlook for the sake of a lover. I would have enjoyed witnessing the entertainment he prepared to please the High Blood. His sense of humor was dreadful. It would have been a true miracle if he'd survived the appointment. Funny. I always imagined a grander entry in my journal for your demise, Dulscar. But I should have realized you would die as you lived. A joke. One more humorous little sacrifice kindly given to the subjugulators, and one step closer to the release of the vast HONK they prophesied. I am overjoyed to understand now that this was always your destiny. It's been nearly a week since Dulscar's fitting end, and I'd all but forgotten the matter. It seems the subjugulators were not particularly inspired by his revelations about my affairs. Sources tell me their response was to commission one of the court's neophyte legislaturators to conduct the investigation and bring me to justice. Neophyte Redglare is reported to be quite talented. I find no reason to doubt this. Still, how can I be caused any unrest to learn their recourse is to send a lone, inexperienced bureaucrat to apprehend me? I cannot view this as anything other than full concession by the High Bloods. They now only seek to maintain the appearance of pursuing me. Maybe they find my exploits amusing? I couldn't possibly disagree. Those rare moments when my superiors show wisdom come perilously close to restoring my faith in the social order. As for Redglare, it would surprise me if I ever heard her name again. If she finds me, then I welcome her challenge. But I am so confident she will play no relevant role in my future, I won't even bother to peering into my oracle to satisfy my curiosity.